Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella.
So I have shared before that I used to do student ministries, and student ministries is always full of different trips, right? The goal of these trips was to create some sort of adventure and to be able to open students' minds and open their hearts to like new opportunities. And so I remember those times. I mean, I could tell you one specific time, but I'll just give you kind of the picture of every single trip that we packed for. You would be kind of waiting there, at least me and the leaders would be waiting there with a couple of vans, like 15-passenger vans, and students would show up, kind of one after another, all with like big duffel bags packed. Some people would have like one tiny duffel, and some people would show up with 2 to 3, for a weekend. And it was clear as people showed up, just even the moment that they showed up with their bags, that they were expecting things. And some of them were expected, like they planned for all of the unexpected, right? They had 4 bags and a pillow and a sleeping bag, and they packed for like 3 weeks. And other people were kind of expectant of like, this is going to be fun, this is going to be something new, and I hope that I'm challenged. I hope that I'm forced somehow out of my comfort zone. But I will admit that the more and more trips that I went on, me and some of our leaders, and even sometimes we had students who would go on trip after trip after trip, it would start to wear off. This excitement and this adventure would just kind of be like, yeah, I guess I'm going to that trip again. And it just became like it became habit. You had your packing list and the same bag showed up every time, and you had it perfected, you had it down to a science. And after a while I realized that we needed to have a conversation for myself, but also with leaders and students that were repeats, and be able to remind all of us that these trips are designed for adventure. And they're designed to open us up, right? There should be some anticipation, even if you think you know what you're about to experience. So there's all these adventures are marked with anticipation. The need, we would always kind of remind people, have an open mind and an open heart and see what happens. And also, if you're comfortable right here, try to stretch a little bit. The goal of adventure is to stretch our comfort zone just a little bit. And I'm sharing this because I think that the Christmas story is the same way. The Christmas story is supposed to be a story of adventure, but the more times that we live it, the more times that we go through it and celebrate, it can be really easy to just kind of be in the habit and miss it. And so this year we're challenging ourselves, I'm challenging myself to look at this through some fresh perspective, and we're doing so by reading a children's book. So this whole series is based on a book called The Wandering Wise Men. It's a new Christmas book this year by Eric and Meredith Scrotenborg, and I highly recommend it. It's got great illustrations. It's a great way to share the story with your kids, but I'm also going to do so for us so that we can really look at where we're at in this story and see ourselves in the story. So we're going to pick up where we left off. The wise men are out on the search for Jesus. And it says, that very night, the wise men saw a light that shone so bright. They knew the planets and the stars and the moon had formed this wondrous sight. These are the signs we've waited for, they said with joyful grins. You can feel the adventure and the anticipation. We need to find this newborn king. Our adventure now begins. God chose these curious wise men from afar and a distant land by sending them a message God knew they'd understand. They packed their camels with treasures, for it was time to go. A king had been born in Judea. Soon all the world would know. From out of the east they traveled on roads that they knew well. They wandered with fellow travelers who carried goods to sell. Across the desert they journeyed. Through sand and blazing heat, they only stopped to get a drink and to rest their feet. And so I read this portion of this story because for us in this journey of Christmas, I want to challenge us to see this with new adventure. Like our bags are packed, our gifts are wrapped, and we are excited for what is about to happen. The markings of adventure, again, are kind of anticipation. What is to come and what will God do with our lives? Open hearts and open minds, but then also a little bit of stretch out of our comfort zone. And to kind of round out today's message, I wanted to put in front of you a Bible verse. It's Luke 2:10. And it's a piece out of the Christmas story It says, "But the angel said to them," now the angel's talking to the shepherds, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people." And for me, that's the marking of adventure, is that we don't quite know what's in store, and yet there's this great hope of joy. And so as the angels showed up to the shepherds, they were kind of freaked out. And sometimes what our faith is going to ask of us, especially in the next month or two, might be a little bit scary, might be a little bit out of our comfort zone. But I would challenge you in your faith this month to do something out of your comfort zone, to try something different, to shake it up a little bit and do something that brings great joy, and to look into this Christmas series or Christmas season with both anticipation and an open mind, and then also add the third component of stretching and getting beyond your comfort zone. This week in your faith, don't be afraid. Be anticipatory. Be thinking about what God might be calling you to, what he might be asking you to see, like the wise men. Wonder and wander, but be prepared to go on a new journey. Prepare to open your hearts and enter into the season with open minds.
Thanks for watching Faith in 5. If you like what you see, please like and share. If you're interested in making a donation to our ministry, please click the link below.